Ready when you are.
Okay, we're good. Call the organizational meeting for the Harlem Township zoning commission to order and then call the roll, please. That's fun.
Mike Fowler.
Here.
Brittany Hopper. Here. Jenny Manson. Here. Tommy.
Here.
And Lily Greenlaw.
Here. And at this point, we don't have an alternate president. I'm assuming that she got reappointed for this next year, but I don't know, didn't see anything about it, you know?
I didn't hear that they did alternate yet.
No, they didn't do it because she's still part of the.
Yeah.
The planning. So we'll put her on the agenda for the trustee.
So they haven't taken any action.
No,
Okay, because Bob Singer had said that they took action back, what, 3-4 months ago?
Yes, they did take action on her being a member, but not until. She's done. with
Yeah,
that.
so that's what I didn't understand, if that was an actual motion passed and
Yeah.
it's still in effect, but it doesn't matter. As long as it gets clarified, maybe by February we'll have a whole. Okay, with the organizational meeting then, let's look forward here in terms of taking steps necessary. And we have called the meeting to order. And at this time, I'll relinquish the chair to Ashley Zarula, our administrative assistant and zoning secretary. So with that, Madam Secretary.
Yes. Do I have any nominations for chair effective for the year of 2026?
I will nominate Mike Camper for chair.
I'll second that.
All right, well, thank you. I will accept the nomination.
Thank you.
Actually, a roll call.
I was gonna say, do we roll call on all these?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Mike Fowler.
Aye.
Jenny Manson. Aye. Tommy.
Aye.
Brittany Hopper. Aye. Lily Greenlaw.
Okay. And thank you. Now I'll assume the chairship. All right, with that in mind, I'll ask for nominations for vice chair for the 2026 year. Do I have a nomination?
I'll nominate Joan Benson.
Oh, thank you. I was just about to ask her. She's going to do that role. And Tom is nominated. I'll second.
I'll second it if she's willing to continue.
All right. If there are no further nominations, then we'll call, let's do a roll call vote again.
Mike Fowler.
Aye.
Jenny Manson. Aye. Tommy.
Aye.
Brittany Hopper. Aye. And Lily Greenlaw.
Okay, thank you. Now we've got the zoning commission meeting date to be set. We have in the motion that it is for the first Monday of each month at 7:30. Unless a holiday falls on that day, et cetera, which is the same as it has been historically for as long as I can remember. But.
I'll make a motion that the Harlem Township Zoning Commission meet on the first Monday of each month at 7:30 p.m. unless a holiday falls on that day, in which case the meeting will be held on Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. at the Harlem Township Firehouse, 3883 South State Route 605, Galena, Ohio, 43021.
And a second? I'll second. Second by Louis. Okay, thank you.
Mike Fowler.
Aye.
Jenny Manson. Aye. Tommy.
Aye.
Brittany Hopper. Aye. Lily Greenlaw.
Aye.
Just so that everyone is aware, you probably are, but the trustees did change their meeting time. They're meeting at 6:30 instead of the traditional. I know this has been 7 for several years. So the meeting next week will be at 6:30 for trustees. Yeah, I put it on my calendar already, my phone, because I'm in such a habit of going.
Yeah.
Show up at the wrong time.
Might not miss much.
All right, moving forward, have another motion regarding the workshop meeting. Someone move that.
I'll move that the Harlem Township zoning commission meet for a workshop meeting the second Monday of each month at 7:30 PM unless a holiday falls on that day, in which case the meeting will be held on Tuesday at 7:30 PM at the Harlem Township Firehouse, 3883 South State Route 605, Galena, Ohio 43021, with a maximum length of 2 hours.
I'll second that.
Moved by Louis, seconded by Tom. Any further discussion? Hearing none, let's move forward with a roll call vote again.
Mike Kavler,
Aye.
Johnny Manson. Aye. Tom Need.
Aye.
Brittany Hopper. Aye. Louis Greenwell.
Okay.
Mike, your butt.
Now this didn't get changed, but the wording here needs to be changed. We're not notifying the township paper of record. But I will request that you post the announcements of our meetings as required and as now stated in our zoning, well, as soon as it goes into effect, that we will post on our website and also on our Facebook page or social media, I think is the way it's worded. So with that, that's just a request or a directive from the chair regarding that. That takes care of that item. Now we need a motion regarding preliminary meetings.
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that the preliminary meeting regarding a planned district be limited to 2 hours in length.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Tom. Okay, moved by Louis, seconded by Tom. Any discussion? Hearing none. A roll call vote, please.
Kavler,
Aye.
Johnny Manson.
Aye.
Tom Need.
Aye.
Brittany Hopper.
Aye.
Louis Greenwell.
And we've discussed our procedural guidelines. We've made revisions in them. I'm not sure that the date is correct on here. Is it? I thought, did it get changed to like 11/25 actually?
It did. Yeah.
It would be 11/25 instead of 7/25. Okay.
I'll make a motion that the Harlem Township Zoning Commission use the approved procedural guidelines for zoning amendments form for amendment of the township zoning map as it reads in HTZC procedures guidelines 11/25.
I'll second. Moved by Joni, seconded by Mike Kabler. Any further discussion? Right, hearing none, then a roll call vote, please. Aye.
Johnny Manson.
Aye.
Tom Need.
Aye.
Brittany Hopper.
Aye.
Louis Greenwell.
And Robert's Rules of Order for our general procedural guidelines.
Now move that the Harlem Township Zoning Commission adopt the Robert's Rules of Order as the authority on procedures.
Seconded. Brittany, did you?
Second.
Okay, thank you. All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Kavler.
Aye.
Johnny Manson.
Aye.
Tom Need.
Aye.
Brittany Hopper.
Aye.
Louis Greenwell.
Right. We have this item regarding an alternate, but at this point, we have no one that's yet been appointed for the 2026 year. We do know that we've got one person that is going to be appointed or likely to be appointed. Unless something has happened that we change our mind, we still would have an opening. So anybody got any ideas who you can contact and ask them to step up? We've made the request. Shoot, now I'm blocking on his name. You know who I'm.
Hollis.
Yes, and
I can't remember.
but he hasn't followed through.
He does have young kids.
Yes, he does. He talked about that. So I think that's probably what will continue to hold him back on it for a while.
Matt Hollis.
All right. Well, a motion to adjourn the,
Before we do, I have a question.
sure, go right ahead.
On the, I tried to get this question in while we were voting for the previous motion about the guidelines. if we make a change to that, do we have to, like, if we update that again for whatever reason, do we have to formally make this motion again that that's the form that we're using?
We would make a motion at the time that we would update them to replace the ones that, yeah, so we could potentially change them during the year.
Yeah.
We did that, I don't know, a year and a half or 2 years ago, something. But, right now, these would be in effect until we would
Yep.
make an alteration. to
Got
it. Yes.
Okay.
Anything else?
Motion to adjourn the Harlem Township Zoning Commission organizational meeting.
It's pretty.
Thank you, Louis, in a second.
Second.
Headed by Brittany. Any further discussion? Hearing none. And all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All right, so we have adjourned the organizational meeting and it's now 7:27. So the
Alright.
timing was good.
Very good.
7:29.
Yeah, I got
That
29.
clock is very, very
That
wrong.
Slow.
That clock.
I'll listen to it.
On my side.
The trustees made a motion to replace that, and I think it passed.
Did they really?
Yep.
Well, if it's officially 7:30, then we'll call the workshop meeting of the Harlem Township Zoning Commission to order. And Mrs. Rubin, would you call the roll, please?
Mike Kavler.
Aye.
Jenny
Here.
Vincent. Here. Tom Need.
Here.
Brittany Hopper.
Here.
And Louis Greenwell.
Here.
All right, the workshop meeting is now in session. And our first item of on the agenda would be to see if we have any new applications, procedures. I'll review them. Got anybody online? So
Bob Singer.
since there's no public present, we'll just move forward. The procedures are the same as always. All right, the first item then following that is receive new applications. We have no one present, so I'm assuming there won't be anyone showing up to present a new application. Next item, review of minutes. It says regular, that was my mistake. Should have said workshop meeting minutes from 12/8. But we all had the minutes available to us and reviewed them. Ashley, I know that you had input and you've made the corrections. Those folks who have submitted corrections, you may all get picked up.
Yeah.
And after I saw the 3 that did correct, I did find a couple little small things that I did change, like some grammatical stuff, so.
Well, thank
You
you
might
for
see that a little
catching them. I'm not a good proofreader. I'll read over those almost every time.
For me at the end.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything
Motion?
else? Oh, sure. All right, I make a motion to approve the workshop meeting minutes from December 8th, 2025 as corrected previously.
I have a motion and is there a second? Okay, seconded by Joni. Any discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Okay. Very good. That was nice and quick. Got those taken care of. Our next meeting won't be until February. So actually, I don't know how quickly you'll get these out. You may want to go ahead and get them done. Of tonight's meetings to get them ahead of the trustee meeting coming up on the 21st.
We'll have them this week.
Okay,
Tomorrow.
very good. Because I know that'll get busy
Oh,
again.
yeah.
All right, the next item on our agenda, review of number of dwelling units permitted in the planned overlay districts. And then I created this little spreadsheet with the 5 overlay articles listed. And we just recorded general information for each one of these. Now, what I was prompted to look at that because someone had asked me a question about how many houses can be built on a particular tract of land. And it was actually a person asking a question related to the property of Overbrook. But that obviously doesn't have sewers and won't have sewers for a very long time, I think. But nevertheless, that is an overlay district. And then I thought, well, what about the others? What's in there? Well, then when I looked, I discovered that
I think there are good reasons that they are not all the same.
yeah, the language was put into 4 of these overlays where there is additional definition language. What's there on those specific articles would carry the weight. The definition that we have in the definition section applies to any other articles that don't have that kind of additional language present. So for Article 13, the definition of net developable acres or acreage is in the definition section, that would apply. However, for these other 4, that definition will not apply. What applies is what the wording is in each of those.
Mike, would you explain this again? Article 13, it says no additional definition in Article 13,
Correct.
but there is, are you saying that there's no definition of?
So we would just use the definition in the definitions
The
article.
definition for net developable acres. That's
in
what
cha-
I'm.
that's-
I see no additional definition.
That,
It's
that's
really
yeah.
under Article 13.
But it is in Article 4, isn't it, Don?
Article, there's a definition for net developable acres
Okay.
in Article 4, yes. And it's got a lot more detail in it than what like Article 33 has.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if that's confusing, but when I said no additional definition, I meant
Other than.
about net developable acre,
Mhm.
because that's the term that gets redefined.
And so it's in Article 13 right here, but it doesn't go into any detail about what it means.
That's what I'm saying, exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
The term net
Thank you.
developable acres is defined in Article 4.
Yep.
But in Article 33, we've got language that says. Did I cite it as? Just put it down.
I see what you're saying.
It's on page 3306. Where under D, it says, for purposes of this article, net developable acreage shall be defined as. So this then becomes the definition for this article only of net developable
And
acreage.
how different is it from Article 4,
It's a lot more general.
more general?
Well, wouldn't the more specific apply?
No,
No, okay.
No, because
because it says
Purpose of,
for purposes of this article.
Yeah.
But
So there, we're giving the definition here.
why did we do that?
Because we actually wrote Article 13 and Holly wrote all the other ones there,
That's correct. And then there's this language at the
or the steering committee or whatever.
There's a sentence in this one that doesn't appear necessarily in the other ones. And that sentence is, in no such case shall the net developable acres be less than 70% of the gross tract acres.
So,
Now, without that language present, that means that there could be a percentage greater than 70%.
In other articles?
That would be,
In
I
other
got-
articles that rely on the definition from Article 4, they could be using the 80%.
No, Article 33 is the only one that specifies the 70% thing.
Yeah,
So any other article that uses.
well,
net
our,
development acres would be
Article
using-
36 does.
Oh,
Article 36.
yeah, that's the newest one.
So, it's 33 and 36 that have that language about the 70%.
So I came here ready to say that I would prefer, this is before Bernie expressed her opinion that maybe there's a good reason for them all to, for them to be different. I was assuming net developable acres, it doesn't matter what article you're in, it always means the same thing, and it means what Article 4 says it means. And we should not redefine it within each of the other articles. We should simply refer back to Article 4.
Yeah, but unfortunately, that's not the way it's worded right now. Yes,
understand
you're
that.
correct.
I'm saying-
I don't, yeah,
But we
I
could-
understand what you're saying, but
If we're gonna.
why it ended up coming to us this way, I'm not sure, because I don't remember us having a specific discussion about it at the time. Do you, anybody?
There's been,
I
can't
remember,
remember.
I remember talking about it and being confused about what it was saying, but to be honest with you, but
Yeah, well, and when you go back and you look at what it says, we were talking about, I said it's not, what's in Article 4 is a little more specific, and it is. If you would look at it, you'll see.
But it's also very common sense. It doesn't say, I mean, to me, it doesn't allow a lot of wiggle room. It says, so a land measured in acre determined by deducting 10% of the subdivision's gross acreage for streets and utilities,
Right.
and by deducting all otherwise unbuildable areas. And then it gets the unbuildable areas, jurisdictional wetlands, that goes into define that, floodplains, slopes greater than 20%, utility right of ways and easement rights of way and easements, and existing bodies of water. It doesn't seem to me that you can build on any of those, and we're not saying anything about forest cover, tree cover, or we're not restricting a developer in any way that practically that this ground is unbuildable simply by definition and not our definition. Right? I don't think there's anybody in the county would let somebody build on a wetland or in a utility right of way. You just can't do it. So I'm comfortable with this definition of net developable acres as it would apply throughout the resolution. I'll just hold mine.
Well, I know that we had discussion about that definition language when we developed it. But I don't recall specific discussion about this language when we ended up inserting that paragraph in these various articles and when they came through. I do recall, however, that at one point, and I can't place where this statement that she made, when she made the statement, maybe it was at one of our meetings, maybe it was at one of the previous steering committee, or it wasn't called a steering committee. What you guys
The
call it?
comprehensive plan
Yeah,
with a quick strategy guide or
yeah, but
whatever we call it.
that statement was made that should basically do away with net developable acres, it's just go with gross acreage.
Yeah.
I know that he has
That was,
stated that
Yeah.
position.
that was stated in the latest round of the strategic plan.
Maybe that's where I heard it.
That's where it
The
is.
steering-
Steering committee.
Steering committee and the latest version of the plan, well, not the latest version of the plan, but that there was a previous version of the plan that had that that action or that recommendation in it was that we do away with.
Is it still in this one? Because I don't recall seeing it.
I think it's been removed.
It was done away with, I believe.
Oh, it sounds like, is that Bob?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That recommendation has been
Taken
removed.
out.
Yeah, so that we can keep net
What
developable
we had.
acreage in our, but I like what Tom's saying is we should be one of the stated reasons of why there was a recommendation to get rid of it is because it can be confusing, and anything that's confusing, developers may want to challenge it. If if it's wishy-washy or squishy or up to interpretation, they may want to challenge. So I like it being clarified and then being used consistently throughout.
Well, what Tom potentially is suggesting, I think, is that we would modify this paragraph in each of the zoning articles where it appears and just have it make reference back to the definition in Article 4.
Yeah.
Net
We
development.
would make sure that the definition in Article 4 is what we want it to be,
Mhm.
because Article 4 doesn't have the,
It doesn't have the language in here about significant tree stands.
And I think there's a problem in my mind with that a developer will see a tree stand, say, I can build there and just chop them down. And you have no control over that. They're gone.
and I think what Holly said we could do is if we run into a situation where tree stands notwithstanding, not a great way to say that, if the property is just a bad piece of property from an environmental constraints standpoint, we could end up negotiating the tree part of it to get the net developable acreage to a satisfactory way.
Well, part of that can happen, or I think I should say maybe the reason I think that could happen is because the fact they have to submit and get a development plan approved.
Right.
So it could be addressed there, but right now it is in language, although significant tree stands is not identified. I think I read in the latest draft of the new strategic plan that's coming forward, doesn't it? It has something in there about tree stands being a minimum of an acre, I think. I read that somewhere. Is that where I read it? I've been reading so much lately, I've caught myself. But I think it's in there. You know, a significant tree stand is an acre or more.
Wow. I'm a little surprised it's that big, but yeah.
And if you look at the maps, they've got them identified within, where on the maps, they identified some areas that are considered to be, quote, significant tree stands. Then we can talk about, it's not in the standards anywhere at the moment, but we could put things in the zoning resolution that requires if they cut down a tree, they have to replace it. That's in a lot of zoning ordinances.
Mhm.
And they have to replace it with a specified size of tree or number of trees, something of that nature. But anyway, that's another matter. The question then is, do we want to do something about this language or let it ride the way that it is?
I think we should be consistent and make sure that unless we have a specific reason why one district should be different than another, I'd rather go for consistency and refer everything back to one
But
definition.
Tom is the only person on our group here who participated in all those discussions by the previous committee. So was there any rationale that you recall having been discussed, Tom, about including this specific kind of language?
Without giving it a lot of thought and going back to my notes, I can't honestly say that I can give you an ironclad summary of what the discussion was.
Well, yeah, but the question I am asking basically is, was there discussion, you think?
There was discussion back and forth. There shouldn't be any limit like this. That it's, it's either county ordinance or township zoning that prevents building in a wetland or on a 20% slope or whatever. I still, my feeling is that it belongs in the definitions. I guess my opinion is that net developable acre is a valuable tool and that we shouldn't throw it out the window. And if it's a valuable tool and it limits destructive development on sensitive,
Environmentally sensitive,
on
yeah.
sensitive parcels.
Yeah,
that-
I
that
agree.
We should keep it. But I come back again, I think a lot of what we did, especially with the procedures for, for developing these overlay districts. We took the procedures and put them in a single article so that they were always the same for every overlay district.
That was the point with the definitions article too, originally.
I think with the definitions, we should use it the same way, that it becomes, you refer back to the definitions. If you don't understand what net developable acres is, look it up in the definitions, it tells you what it is, tells you what the limits are. That's it. And the only thing, the only thing that I see in here right now, in no such case shall the net developable acres be less than 70% of the gross tract acres. Do we want to move that? Do we want to keep that idea? And if we do we want to put it into the definition in Article 4, or do we want to leave that sentence?
That's always
There it
going to depend on the particular parcel. In some parcels, if you are going to insist that 70% of it be developable, that may eliminate preserving some of these other things.
Well, no, you actually make it the whole thing not developable, right? If you can't develop 70% of it, then you can't develop it at all, is how I read that, but I don't know if that's what it's
That-
meant to say.
And that might be the effect, and you can't do that, in my
You're
opinion.
not,
Yeah.
you're not allowed to take,
So what's
that's
that language
considered
on
a
the top?
taking.
Let's see it.
Yeah, that doesn't read right. That's apparently.
Well,
we're-
this right now, potentially, the way I read it is, so in this particular one that we're looking at now, which is,
33?
33, then it would be, they could develop between, well, I started to say between 70 and 90, but the 10% is not, here anywhere, because this would apply, and the 10% is set aside for streets and so forth. Streets and utilities in our definition, but here it doesn't say that.
These individual definitions of net developable by acre, I think, are a problem.
So we're of the
Don't think
opinion,
we
it sounds like, that we should modify this language to refer back to the definition in order to establish the consistency that.
And to make sure that the definition in Article 4
Is what we want.
is what we want.
Well, I'm not, yeah, we'd have to look at the definition itself and make sure it is what we want.
And there may be some definitions or some pieces of the definitions in these subsequent articles that we could stuff into Article 4, maybe not. I don't know. I just made some copies and scanned it, so I just know. But that's what struck me right off the bat was, yes, we have all these different definitions in each article, and that's not a good thing. We have what I think is a good definition, a good start of a definition in Article 4. We should keep that and use it the way it was intended throughout the resolution.
I remember asking the question at one of our meetings when that, because I read that at one of our meetings when we were going through one of these articles. And I asked the question, so what happens if there's so much tree stand, so much slope, so much hydric soils or whatever, that it causes 80% or more than 70% of the lot to be unbuildable? And I thought the answer.
Well, it's really, I think
Maybe
it's
it's-
the reverse.
It's the other way around. Yeah.
I mean, you gotta be able to build
If
over
it-
70%, and maybe we shouldn't say that.
So if it was if 40% of the property was unbuildable due to those other things.
Yeah.
I remember the answer being either you can negotiate on the tree stands, or you can negotiate on the density. You might allow 4 units per acre of net developable versus only 3. That seemed to be the
Well,
answer that Holly gave us.
In the development plan, that would have, if that were going to be approved, and then it would have to be a variance, if you will, from the
Right.
article and what the requirements are. It would have to be something that would be approved as part of that process. It could happen, I guess, but generally speaking, I think that's one thing that we'll probably won't typically want to stay away from.
Yeah, I don't like that sentence at all, frankly, in my view.
70%.
Yeah,
I,
I think
yeah.
it's can be read so many different ways.
Yeah.
And it's just gonna cause more trouble than it's worth.
So you're saying that if a parcel, in your example, is built into the side of a hill, half of it is sloped down into a creek, that's clearly unbuildable. But it's part of the acreage. That's what the parcel is. I mean, you take Overbrook, the jerk, the Belts Retreat. Half that parcel slopes into the reservoir. You can't build on it anywhere. Does that mean that we're taking that property?
It raises some issues, and I think we're
But
better off getting rid of that sentence.
yeah, no, I mean, I'm saying, but the rest of the definition, are you saying because you're defining this as unbuildable, does that mean you're taking the property? I don't know, I mean,
No,
I mean, it's
it's
not like it's a secret.
Yeah,
If you're looking
it's
at
not taking, you don't have to allow the highest use of a property. You have to allow some use of a property. That is how the state defined it.
And it's already zoned for a use.
Yeah, so we're
And
not.
when they buy the property, that's the use that they know that they're buying.
Mhm.
And
wanna
they are
change
going to
it.
make a request to change it. But as you just said, there's no requirement that the township approve the highest use where they can get the greatest amount of profit. That's not a requirement.
So if we go back and look at the Conservancy, it had Duncan Run running through the middle of it. That absorbed a lot of acreage. It had the high tension power lines running along the eastern edge of it, and that took a lot of acreage. And they still felt it was developable. Right? That even though they lost a lot of acreage in what
Springs.
essentially is non-developable land, it still worked for them. So, I mean,
Well, they,
I think, to find,
Which one were they trying to do? They were trying to do the one that follows Article 4. They were doing, right, the PRCD? Yeah, that's the one that follows Article 4's definition.
and there's no minimum.
yeah, and he used the 0.6 because he had to use the 0.6 because it's not, there's no sewers there.
Yeah,
And even if it comes back to us with sewers, and we go back to the CRCD, I don't think we're not gonna approve a building on part of that property that we wouldn't have approved before. It's still unbuildable. It's still
Right.
undeveloped.
right.
Right.
Now, there may be higher density in on the parcel that is developable,
Mhm.
part of it, because it's got sewers. But
Yes, and that's what would happen because we also have that requirement for 50% of it to remain open space.
and
Now, the part that is undevelopable can count toward
Right.
that
Open
50%.
space,
Yes.
and
And it most likely is what they would do.
Hell, yeah.
That's all they could use.
Yeah.
For sure. So, it cuts both ways. You need open space. Well, here's open space you can't build on anyway.
Mhm.
It would still be open. Should be open. So,
Well, to get, I guess, a recommendation with regard to language, I guess I feel like we should get someone with a professional background to draft some language for us to consider, and that means we either get it from Delaware County Regional Planning Commission or we get it from Holly,
or both.
or both.
Mhm.
Guess it could be both, but potentially that may again require then approval on the part of the trustees for the potential expenditure of funds. I don't know whether it will or not.
Well,
If you're saying if you don't want to keep what's in number 4, Article 4,
If
we do.
if we want to modify this language,
To not have,
especially when we're talking about the definition for net developable acres. That's where I think that we want to make sure that we're getting some professional advice, so to speak.
I would think that instead of this particular paragraph, which is under determining the number of dwelling units permitted, we take that paragraph out and say for purposes of this article, net developable acreage is defined in Article 4.
Well, we can say that part's easy,
That's all.
but then
That's-
looking at net developable acres, do we need advice on what, if any, changes need to be made in that language?
In Article 4?
Just go with what we've already got.
Wouldn't have Scott already addressed that if
I
he
think-
felt
I
like
think he
it
already,
needed to be
well, we
changed?
already did the definitions at one point. I mean,
Yeah, we did.
we could add.
I don't
significant
remember,
tree
but
stand
this
if you
was,
like.
this was revised relatively recently.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like it's.
It says February 14th.
Or actually statement, I did find in the strategic plan, the tree stand information if you want that.
Sure.
So it's bolster tree protection standards. It's in chapter 5. It says townships should work to protect existing tree stands throughout enhanced zoning regulations throughout the township. The township significant tree stands of 1 acre or more are shown in figure 20. While the township CRCD overlay contains provisions for tree stand preservation, the township could implement additional standards throughout the entire zoning code.
So that is where I read it.
Yep. Such as graduated replacement ratios where cutting down larger trees requires additional placement. For example, and they give examples like if it's a 12 to 18-inch tree, 2-to-1. If it's a larger tree, like a 30+ inch tree, they would have to do 5-to-1 replacement. Additionally, for a heavy wooded site, the township could require significant tree stands 1 acre or larger be preserved, only allowing low impact activities such as unpaved walking paths or foot trails, benches, etc., utility easements when they cross perpendicularly to minimize impact. So that is where you found the wording, but it is put in.
And in net developable acres, currently, we don't have any language about tree stands.
I know that's something you guys started talking about, so I thought I'd zip through and try to find it for you, but that is what they say. So it doesn't necessarily say you have to, but it says that the township could require.
Could you read the part about the 1 acre again? I feel like it was kind of vague on that.
Yeah, so it says the township, I'll have to look at the figure 20. So essentially down at the bottom, it says, additionally, for heavily wooded sites, the township could require significant tree stands, 1 acre or larger, be preserved, only allowing low impact activities. And then up at the top, it says the township's significant tree stands of 1 acre or more are shown in figure 20.
Are there a lot of them?
So we could add as a bullet F to the definition in Article 4, we could add significant tree stands of 1 acre or larger. To be included in the definition of net
To align.
developable acre.
Yeah.
That'd be a simple add that we could put in there and gives us negotiation room if we want that.
Mhm.
And then we just make all the other articles refer back to Article 4. And we
The language, I
and we
think,
get-
in the individual articles should be relatively simple.
Yeah, we could pull some of that tree stand language and put it in Article 4. Is
If
that what
we-
you're saying?
Yeah, if we do it that way, so then you're not differentiating in each article. He's got the
Correct.
same definition across the.
Well,
board.
in each article, it would just refer back to Article 4.
So if we
Correct.
change the language in these articles, does that, we have to then reopen the articles for discussion? And does that open it up for potentially referendum kind of thing?
Yes, the answer is yes.
Okay.
So if we're changing it in 5 articles, well, 6, if we change something in the definition, then those 6 articles would all be open for consideration. But the only language we would be addressing would be the changes that we're talking about. So you'd have a hearing if it goes, and then that becomes referendable.
So the what becomes referendable is just what we're changing or the whole
Correct.
article itself?
Well,
Like,
the whole article, meaning as we are proposing it be changed.
okay,
The existing article would not be affected by
okay.
the referendum.
So say it went to a referendum and it went to the, say they got it on the ballot and people voted it down, they'd just be voting down our change. The
Yeah.
article would still remain
Correct.
as it
The
was.
original.
The original
original article.
article, the original
Okay.
language that we're discussing, yes.
Thank you for
They would
clarifying.
essentially just shoot down our cleanup.
You're clean.
The standardization that we're trying to make, they would
Okay.
strike that.
That makes me feel better that they wouldn't. be
Yeah,
allowed.
no, it won't wipe everything else out.
Okay.
It would only stop us from making the change.
Okay, thank you for clear.
And the referendum process now is a lot more difficult than. it
Oh,
was.
yeah.
35%.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
Instead of
I mean, I'm sorry, that's the criteria in terms of number of signatures, percentage
Instead of-
wise.
10.
35%. It had been 8.
Yeah.
So we have to get a lot of people that really don't want to protect trees.
that really hate this change. Okay, got it. Thank
I'm-
you.
Yeah, and that trying to get that, I mean, you can get the number, but it's not I already asked for it myself. When I was thinking about this, thought, well, 35%, let's see, but in order to get it, you have to go to the Board of Elections, and then you have to get a printout, and then you have to add up all the precincts. There's no collective summary of that anywhere.
Okay.
The data is available, but they don't aggregate it and have it easily available.
They don't want to.
They never have.
No, we never have.
Or make you
But
work
it's
for it.
just easier to get 8% than 35%.
Well, yeah, if we've got, I don't know, 2,000 registered voters who voted in the last gubernatorial election, that means then now you have to get 700 signatures, valid signatures.
Mike, I think we should try to take whatever language we have in the articles, any tree stand language that we have, if it's in, because we have a couple where we have tree stand language in there, right?
I mean, do we need to look at find every article that says something about net developable acre definition
think
and
that's-
tree standing?
I think that's
Or
what it's done here.
you've already done like a full search of all.
No, I didn't
Just
search.
the plan
I only
district.
looked at the overlay districts.
Okay,
Okay.
so it
But
could
net
be
developable
elsewhere.
Acres would apply in other places too, that are quote straight districts.
Yeah, but all the straight districts always refer back to.
They all refer,
Article
yeah,
4.
they would all go back.
We
to-
should
You should
confirm
probably
that.
confirm,
Well,
yeah.
Yeah, confirm that all the net developable acreage is referring back to Article 4.
Yeah.
And then if we've deviated at all, and we've added let's understand what the deviation is. I think it sounds like we don't like the in no such case shall the be less than
70%.
70% or some number. It sounds like we don't want to use that language anymore.
Just get rid of that.
Right. But we do want to keep the tree stand piece as part of the calculation.
And we can use the new language from the new,
Plan.
whatever you want to call it,
Whatever.
strategic plan or.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, and in part, I mean, they're having their meeting this week on Thursday at 4:30. And then I'm assuming, now maybe I'm wrong, someone else may know better than I thought that they probably were going to be making the recommendation, the steering committee, to the trustees, and the trustees would be
They just,
dealing with that.
they just sent the communications team just sent the latest version of the plan out for review by the general public. So I think they're going to let people get comments.
Again.
Again.
So they're
The December 30th version just got sent out via email to everybody to say, hey, go look at it's really just the economic development chapter and the executive summary, I think maybe, or the letter from the trustees.
So
I forget what
what
piece.
was out there prior that I reviewed was not the current version.
December 30th is the latest version. But I
Well,
think
that's what I
But
reviewed.
it wasn't sent.
That's
out.
been out there.
but it wasn't sent out. Right. That December 30th was the latest
I
version.
mean, it's been out there on the website because that's where I looked at it. I pulled it up and
And so
Don't know
the
this.
communications team, I think, just communicated.
they did send something out today that I got. I remember looking at it and said
The
something.
newest one just went on the website last week.
Oh,
Well,
The one that.
There was something that was sent out December the 23rd, and then there's something else that was sent out, right?
The fourth draft is on the website now, but it was just put up.
But
The fourth draft was out there before today, because I was looking at it before today. It said draft 4 on it.
That was probably in the email blast then.
It might have been, I don't
Yeah.
recall specifically, I just remember that was the language, draft 4 of the.
What was sent out today was not the entire document.
it's just the economic development chapter and.
That's correct.
Executive summary?
Yes.
I know what's there now, it's gotta be then what they're gonna be using when they meet on Thursday. If they make changes, then Bob, since you're participating with us, are you expecting to have a recommendation come to the trustees?
Not
this week or
necessarily.
not?
It depends. I mean, if everyone's in agreement, but I doubt they will be.
Bob,
We'd
was there a date of when they wanted to get comments back from the public?
I did not see anything specifically
I didn't
to
either.
that effect.
They asked for public input, but I didn't see a date on which they needed it.
Yeah, we're not going to rush approving this. That's the bottom line.
Okay. So, but the language that we're talking about was not affected by the latest change. The latest change was really just the economic development chapter 4, I think. And even if the language did change,
Is there someone that wants to volunteer to
Prior to that.
rewrite net developable area as the definition?
I'll take it.
Okay.
So I would say-
Rewrite the definition from Article 4 or.
No, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, yeah.
Okay.
Net developable area that's in Article 4,
Which is,
Yep.
and then we would use that language.
keep
We're
the.
not gonna repeat
Okay.
the language.
I got a bullet for F for
Well,
coastal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we do that, I don't argue that significant tree stands should be somewhere in the definitions and in the zoning resolution. I don't think it belongs in this net developable area definition. Everything else in here is more permanent. What can I say? Slope is not going to change. Utility rights of way are not going to change, floodplains, that sort of thing. Tree stands move around, you come down, they get bigger and small. I would try to put that somewhere, not necessarily landscaping, but maybe its own definition of what a tree stand is, and not include that in the calculation of net developable acres. My reason again is that tree stands are in jeopardy of being destroyed. If we make them a feature of you can't build where there's trees, developer will cut the trees down, then he can build. That's what I'm concerned about.
Yeah, that's a good point. Somebody could buy the lot, cut down 5 acres of forest, then come to us with a plan that has no trees on it, that says, oh, look at all my open space.
Exactly. So,
Well, that's what they do now. Clear cut. There's even a company out there that operates under that name, Clear Cut.
so I mean, I think we should have language in the resolution that deals with significant tree stands. I think the steering committee agrees that it should. I'm not sure it belongs in this definition, this part of the resolution. That would be my only
Well,
comment.
if we don't put it in there, then there's nothing really to change. We're just changing the individual articles to refer back to Article 4. If we don't make any adjustments to Article 4, if we leave it exactly the way it is, then we can clean up the rest of them. And
It came up under the discussion of net developable area or net developable acreage.
Yeah.
Simply because that's where they have it now in those individual articles.
right.
They put it in there. But I think Tom's making a valid point here about what the developer could do. How are we gonna know if there's a significant tree stand there now? I mean, how do you make that determination? Are we using the map that is coming out of, the recommendation from the steering committee? And already have them identified that those are the significant tree stands? Is that gonna be the criteria?
I don't know how they determined
we-
that.
yeah.
I don't know either.
They probably just looked at Google Maps and if it looked
just used-
like there were trees,
If there were
They
trees.
just used the
Well,
GIS and drew some
they've got
squares.
they've got some trees identified on my property. I don't know whether it's more than an acre or not. I think it probably is. I've never, done an assessment of it to be sure. But the trees, they're somewhere in the range of 50 years old.
Mhm.
We don't have any virgin tree areas
No.
in Harlem Township.
To find any in Ohio.
You're right, absolutely. It just doesn't exist anymore.
Well, it's not,
But, what is a significant tree stand?
and I think they were saying, it's gotta be an acre or more for one thing, but an acre or more of saplings and scrub, kind of hard to justify.
There's a lot of that.
Yeah, is that down here at the corner of Gorsuch, or not Gorsuch, at the corner of Smothers and Harlem. You can go to the east. Would that be considered to be a tree stand over there? They're not very big trees.
Yeah.
More like brush.
Yeah. It's, and that, I mean, I think that's another reason to keep it out of what can be this, I think, it's clear, no argument about what it means. Tree stands, we're gonna be dancing all over the place. So we give it, we just extract it and leave it in the, either put it in the definitions or, which is probably the best thing, so maybe you wanna write a significant tree definition. That would help.
What's a significant tree stand?
Yeah.
A definition for a significant tree stand?
I don't, I mean, you make them.
But you
choice and say,
whatever the new language is gonna be coming out.
Yeah,
We do, and
I think the new language said we should determine, determine what we want it to be.
oh,
I don't think it gave clear definition on what it is.
So if we're not gonna change the definition to include tree stand, which I'm inclined to see it the way that Tom's describing it. I think it potentially might be a bigger issue than by putting it in there.
Yeah.
Because cut down the trees, you don't have a tree stand. And when is the tree stand determined to have been there?
Right. And we don't have any permits. There's no permits required to cut down a significant tree stand.
There's not.
Anyone on any property in Harlem Township could go today and cut down a tree. Except some of the zoning that we have that requires if you do cut down a tree, you have to replace it with something. Or if you have a dead tree or.
and there are some deed restrictions.
But for the most part, throughout most of Harlem Township, anyone can cut down whatever they want.
Well,
And
in
as
some
much as they
instances, people they've got a significant tree stand maybe on their property and they do have some large trees. They want to harvest them.
Right. They could be
We're
hard.
gonna keep them from harvesting the tree.
Right, no.
Do other
Well, especially if
prevent
there's
people-
storm damage or something, you gotta take things down if there's storm damage.
Yeah.
Or the danger of storm damage. And I don't know who's doing it, but on Smothers? No, on Fancher, between 605 and Miller Paul, on the north side of Fancher. Someone is clearing out the underbrush
Mhm.
on a 3 or 4 acre parcel. I just drove by it, so I don't know whether they're clear cutting it or leaving the bigger trees and just opening it up. But there again, is that endangering the tree stand or are you just clearing out the underbrush? And I wouldn't say you can prevent somebody from doing that. I mean, that's the way the Native Americans used to hunt.
I've
If you
got a
wanted to
significant
burn it out.
stand of pear trees that I would love to
Well,
cut down for me.
I don't, hopefully we don't consider those Bradford pears to be a significant tree
Yeah,
stand. Oh,
got plenty of those. They do provide shade, they provide cover, they provide.
They will take over, yes.
They have,
And they grow so fast.
an acre and a half of them.
All right, so back to where are we with this?
So in our site design process, we don't list significant tree stands anywhere. We list things like preserving existing hedge and tree lines to the extent practicable. We list retain or restore native vegetation adjacent to wetlands and surface waters. We list landscape or retain vegetation in common areas with native trees and shrubs. We say place shade trees along internal roads. We do not say anything about cutting or not cutting significant tree stands. And I'm just looking here at the 33,
Yeah,
which, you know.
Well, maybe it would be a good exercise to come up with a definition of significant tree stands or tree stands in general. And then write a short paragraph about preserving significant tree stands that would be inserted in these kinds of, I don't know how many Joni could find that are like that. I mean, maybe just these 4 or 5. I don't know.
Yeah, I think coming up with a definition, I don't know that we have, like what we're talking about is it's almost like a significant tree ordinance. That we'd have to have some ability to enforce someone buying a 10-acre parcel and cutting down half of the trees on that parcel. Anybody could do that right now with no, I mean, even if we have it in our zoning code, there's no restriction to prohibit someone from doing that.
Mhm.
The only way to prohibit them from doing it is to pass an ordinance that says you can't. And I don't think we can do that. We don't have the authority
We
to
don't have the
enforce
authority to do
an
that.
ordinance like that unless we were a limited home rule, maybe.
Yeah, that also then becomes an agriculture issue. Because if a person owns the property.
Yeah.
And they want to harvest the trees.
Yeah, or they
it's
just,
an agricultural.
or they just want firewood.
Can't
or
prohibit them from
Whatever,
doing
right. So I don't even know how we could do that and protect those.
it.
I mean, Johnny, what do you think if you just put in something about significant tree stands in that verbiage, about, and not define it and just have it, what do you think it means?
We don't even have that in our Article 13 planned residential conservation districts.
Nothing about tree stands.
No.
Yeah,
We
probably
would
not.
almost have to have something that says significant tree stands as of a date certain. Like significant tree stands as of,
And then you've got to
or
give us
identified on this
specific-
map, identified on this map or something. And that would, if someone did come in and they cut down 50 acres of trees, a developer, then we would go back and look and say, oh, hey, what happened to all these trees that were protected as of this date?
Well, and then what do you tell them? Well, you can't develop that because it used to be a tree stand and now it's not
We
anymore.
could say you have to plant 50 acres of trees.
I
If
think that,
if you want to develop, then you have to replant 2 to 1
yeah, it's
somewhere on your property.
not gonna work.
Okay.
Can we
We
really
might
enforce
be
that?
able to put, we have definitions for open space common, open space green. Could we have an open space tree stands or something? Oh, and then
Not really
it would be
open.
included as,
Open space light forest.
and then it would count.
Well, one of the things that we would want to most likely be doing when someone is coming in with a development plan is if there are trees on the property, that would be an area that we would look to hopefully be able to maintain as some open space to maintain the trees so that they don't go in and cut down all the trees. In
We
order
don't
to
have
have
that-
more space to
That
build.
defined and within any definitions of open space that it can be tree filled.
Yeah,
So it's not really open, it's filled space.
It's open in terms of it's not developed,
it's undeveloped.
is what we define our.
unless you go in and you take the acreage
Yeah.
that you've got and you plant trees, then you're developing it,
Open
but you're
space is-
developing it as a forest.
Area of land or water essentially unimproved and set aside, dedicated, designated, or reserved for public or private use or enjoyment. Or for the use and enjoyment of owners and occupants of land adjoining or neighboring such open space. So open space could be trees. We could. And if we need to define it as significant tree stands or something, open space, like, comma, significant tree stands, we could do that.
Yeah. Maybe that's where it belongs then. And then
And then when people are setting aside a certain amount of open space,
it
it could include those tree stands and get that counted as open space.
do we want to ask the steering committee on Thursday what they have in mind and what they would suggest, or we have what they suggest?
I think we should take our concerns to them and get a recommendation for what we could add to our zoning code that would allow us to protect those.
Are you gonna be there? Or-
I'm not on the,
No, I mean, but you gonna be there as public?
I can.
Yeah, I mean,
This is
I've been-
Thursday? I didn't.
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't know.
Thursday at 4:30.
Oh,
It's a strange time, I thought.
Let me make.
do you want to have a day job? What?
It's 4:30 to 6:30, I think.
No. Yeah, I can probably make it. But again, we're just talking about,
Oh, I can come late.
yeah,
I can probably get there at 5. Right after.
Well, for purposes of what we've been discussing tonight, I think I've heard that we're reaching a general consensus that we should change the articles and take out that paragraph where
Again,
where there's
specific.
an additional definition,
Yeah,
and
we
simply
should
have that
Could
paragraph
replace all the,
with
all,
language that takes you back
Yeah.
to Article 4.
replace all the language in the individual articles to just point back to Article 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that every place that paragraph exists where it says for purposes of this article, take that out and just insert the language that goes back to Article 4. We're in agreement with that?
Yeah, for purposes of this article.
Does it even need to say for purposes of this article, or would it just say net developable acreage as defined?
As defined in,
Yeah,
yeah,
Because we're just using the definition, so it's,
correct.
Yep.
it's refers to every article.
Yep.
Goes to
And
article.
then the second part had to do with the tree stands. We're looking at potentially then writing a definition.
Into open spaces?
open space, comma,
Yeah,
significant tree
so
stand.
that'd be another definition that we would add.
Yeah, and that would again be a new definition that could be added.
Right, that we would we'd seek input from the strategic or the steering committee.
Yes.
Because all these things require some open space. This just gives them the option of, some of that open space could be.
Some of that open space could be the trees.
Yeah.
Yes. And then what is in the individual articles, the language there, that just comes out.
Mhm.
All right. Well, I'll take a look at just drafting the language that will replace the paragraph in each of the individual articles with the reference to the definition section for developable acreage. And
Does the
then
steering committee meet here?
who's going to write the definition for the significant tree stands under open space? Were you going to do that, Louis?
I will, but I'll need.
I'm gonna go to
I'll need
solicit.
we're gonna get input from the steering.
Yeah, going to solicit input.
Right.
Relating to that.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, then.
I'll draft something that'll go into the open space.
Yeah.
language.
And we could plan to try to deal with that at our workshop meeting in February. Not at the
Can,
first meeting, so that'd be the second meeting in February.
right, can
workshop.
is Scott available to consult with us on that, or do we have to do that on our own?
I'll have to find out from him whether we can get any free, or maybe I shouldn't say free, but already included or already paid for consultation.
We might be able to send him what we draft and just have him, like, not come to a meeting, but have him review it and give us his comments.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
rather than drafting it.
Organizational meeting for the trustees, they did renew their contract with regional planning.
And that's what I mean. I think then that means that kind of
Yeah,
the
there's
clock starts
some
over
amount of
so that
time.
we've got an amount of time.
Yeah,
That's available to us without having to pay extra for it.
Good.
Because we're not gonna, and we wouldn't have to have him come to a meeting.
Right.
Potentially, we could just have him look at the language that we would draft. Okay,
Are you gonna talk to Scott?
what? You find a problem?
Just Article 30.
I think we pointed that out to him already,
Well,
but
it's
I don't know that
today.
it's been changed.
the Article
Just have to look
36.
online to see if it's been
No,
updated.
no, this came down today. I downloaded that page today.
Oh, you downloaded that page today. Well, then he's not updated it.
Or it's.
I know that it got pointed out before, that the numbering was wrong.
Put on that article or a different article?
You mean for Article 36?
Yeah.
Yeah, all those page numbers say 35.
Yeah,
Still.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, that, I know that was discovered earlier and pointed out, but apparently still hasn't been changed.
Okay,
You're saying you printed that today, that
Yeah.
offline, then it hasn't been updated. That's something Ashley can't change. That's something that Scott has to change.
or somebody who
Or
works.
somebody at that office, yes. Okay. Now, flow chart is the last item on our agenda. We spent more time on that than I anticipated, but I thought it was a significant issue. That's the reason I brought it up.
Yeah. Good discussion.
Flow chart, and thank you actually for printing this up for us on the larger paper. It makes it easier to read. It's 8.5 by 14.
Seeing it all in one page like this now, there's some, I don't know why these green check marks are up here. In the top right, there's some green check marks there that
Oh, okay, I see them now. I know what
the
you,
system did that. I didn't mean for those to be there. I think when it sees the word approval, it puts a green check mark for some reason. So I'll try to get rid of those. I also see now that I'm looking at it as a whole, there's some of the text is bolded and some is not. What's the pleasure? Should all of those things be bolded or should they not be, like the words that are kind of hanging out with the lines?
Within
5 days of receipt of application or within 20 to 40 days after receipt? One time it's bolded, one time it's not. What do you guys think?
Those that are not bolded are a little bigger and I think a little easier to read.
Yeah, I don't know if we need them bolded.
Yeah, there's one where there's the line that goes back that says withdraw. That's kind of small. I think I should make the font all standard on all
Yeah,
this.
continue, withdraw, and 5 days receipt of application. Those are all a little small.
Yeah.
And voted.
Yep.
But they approves and denies.
I think when it's just one word, I'll make them all caps.
Okay.
If it's a sentence or like, multiple words, I'll
Mhm.
just use mixed case like I have it.
I think within 20 to 40 days after receipt shows up real well.
Yeah, just use
Public
that
notice.
size.
Please.
I have a kind of a general question relating to the top row.
Okay.
Relating to the Delaware County Regional Planning. Since this document, the original intent was for the individual property owner, the residents of the township.
Mhm.
Will having this in here, does it really add anything for them or does it make it more confusing? And specifically thinking about when we say under the zoning commission, we're going to submit the application to Delaware Regional Planning, which we do. But we don't want the individual residents to think that they have to submit anything in regional planning because they don't.
There's a lot
But
on their
you can
agenda
screen.
that comes from the township that comes from the applicants, not from us. I mean, Joe Clace, for example, he's always got stuff on their agenda.
Well, I'm not saying that they can't, but in terms of the process that is followed through our organization, through the zoning department here, does it add to confusion if we introduce regional planning in the way that it is here, does it make them think that the individual property owner needs to submit the application? That's not what happened.
No, because
'cause
it's not
they're-
in their line.
Yeah, they're
It's
the
not
great-
in
I know
their
that.
lane.
so why would they
So
think?
why would they think they'd have to do that? Although I
Is
think
it-
it is nice to have visibility. What if they want to go to the Delaware Regional
I
Planning
think the
Committee
chart has
meeting?
become a lot more complicated
It's a complicated process.
than it was when we started. This is fine because this is what we do.
I like it.
It's got everything on here that we,
I think Brittany has a point that this way they know the different steps that are gonna happen if they want to go to regional planning and listen during that hearing and participate in that hearing. You know,
They're allowed.
yes,
well,
they have that option.
In case they say something about their application.
it took
that
me a
they
while
wish-
to grasp, honestly, because I don't deal with these kind of workflow charts on a daily basis anymore. Took me to grasp the whole idea that you have to go row by row. And the top row is just for regional planning.
Oh,
Well,
And
each
then the
row,
next
each
row
row,
is just for zoning.
yeah, yeah.
And then the next row is for the applicant.
You want to make that typeface larger so it's more obvious?
It just,
the very left side.
for the first time that someone new sees this, is it going to be confusing to them or is it going to be
Yeah.
helpful to them? Do we need to give, somehow, it just seems like it's a bit confusing.
These labels over here are a little bit larger.
Yeah, I think I can make that text bigger.
Can that be
And-
done?
Yeah, I can make the text bigger and maybe I could write up, we've got a flow chart and it may not be obvious for some, but we could probably do a page or a half page explanation that goes with this that kind of says how to use this chart or how to interpret, how to read it. And
Yeah,
that
because
kind
it's
of says
important that,
that
you
you-
don't,
that
for the applicant, this is where, and Tom suggested and we got it added here where it says process starts. But that's for the applicant.
correct,
That's what they need to pay the most attention to.
right, which is that's their lane.
Right,
That's their swim lane.
right.
And so they only have to worry about the things that are in their lane. They need to know that stuff is happening by others, which
Yeah.
I think is Brittany's point. It's
Yeah.
good to know that the planning commission is looking at things and that the zoning department is doing things and that the trustees have to do some things. Everybody plays a role. But I can maybe come up with a half-page explanation or something. And
I
I think
think it would probably be helpful if these
we're larger.
were larger. Yeah. Make them stand out.
Something easier to read. And it probably needs a title.
Yeah.
Needs a
There's the-
title on this document.
Especially if, for those of us who are over 40, we have to have our bifocals to read this.
You know, and maybe the background color could be a little closer to the lighter color that's in the.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe
Because they,
not make the color so dark.
yeah,
But I thought, as we've kind of already implied, but this becomes very comprehensive in terms of processes here.
I think so.
I don't think we left anything out.
It'd also be helpful for any new person coming on to the zoning commission.
You think?
Not knowing the process.
Hand it to the alternates when they come
Yeah.
on and say,
And say, okay,
study this,
I
there's gonna
wish
be a
I
test.
had one of
explain-
these when
explain
I
this to me.
started.
There's a test on your next meeting.
yes.
I think it's
We all
great.
started the same.
One
A
day,
little behind the curve.
one day I will create an onboarding SOP. One day.
Okay, so the only changes we're looking at is potentially making this bigger. You're thinking about now drafting a paragraph or two.
Yeah.
To explain how to use it.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna get rid of the check marks.
Yeah, get rid of those green check marks, fix the text,
And
make the text a little bit bigger.
eliminate the bolding and leave everything in standard
Yeah.
font.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there's no procedural changes that I'm hearing.
No, I didn't see any. Did anyone else?
I think you've got everything that we commented on last time.
Yep. I cross-checked it.
Okay,
I think it was good.
Ashley, can we print 11 by 17 or not on our printer?
commission.
Trying. I think we can.
I don't know whether we can or not.
Is there a commission?
You can.
Roger.
Yeah, yeah, it's regional
I
planning.
think Bob said we can.
Thank you, Bob.
The voice from above.
Yeah.
Says we can.
Because if this were 11 by 17, it'd be a little bit bigger also.
Right, instead of just legal.
And then, of course, you'd be folded in half, becomes 8.5 by 11. But I'm thinking that, you know, when Mike sits down to meet with a potential applicant, then he can actually use this chart to make
He
sure.
could
that-
use the chart and he could speak from the little 1 or 2 paragraphs about, and he could use that to step through the chart, say, process starts here, goes through the thing, it goes over here, it goes back, it might have to come back to you for revisions, applicant, this.
Yeah, and if they look at this, they kind of can get the impression fairly quickly that it's gonna take kind of a minimum of 90 days from the time that they start till it can reach a
And
conclusion.
even that they need assistance.
More often than not, it'll be.
Well,
140
and he
days.
can stress upon them the fact that if the application is not correct, it goes back through this process and it could take,
Another
that
90 days.
takes more time. That
Absolutely.
every time it has to cycle back through, that's another 45 days,
12,
60
30
days of
days.
lost.
And we may meet more than once a month, but Delaware County Regional Planning Commission doesn't. And the recommendation does have to go to them from us. And then they have to give us the recommendation.
And the trustees only meet once a month.
And the trustees only meet once a month. Because when it goes to the trustees, they need to have the recommendation from regional planning. That's specified in the revised code. So
So
anyway,
better
it's all
to
here.
get it right the first
It's all
time.
here.
They're better off spending an additional 2 to 3 weeks on their application up front and then submitting it to us and letting it sail through. And then
Yep.
halfway doing it and having to go back because they could cost them months.
Okay,
It'd be really nice if people realized that.
all right. Anything else?
Two
Any
quick,
other agenda items
Two
or
quick things.
questions? Yes, go ahead, Tom.
I don't know if anybody remembers that Excel spreadsheet that I put together at one point comparing the different residential districts that were in the
This
in the
guy?
resolution.
Oh, I remember it. Yeah, they still have it.
Real
Is that
small.
worth updating with all the overlay districts and all the changes to the residential districts?
Oh. It's a lot of effort.
It is a lot of effort and I don't want to have to do it, unless it makes sense. I mean, for me, it kind of laid everything out. You talk about onboarding, you know, it's an abstract of what's in the
Yeah.
resolution, but anyway, that was one question, one way or the other. And then Mike Cannon said he has a list of things that he's come across that he'd like to see us address in the resolution. And maybe next workshop, he'll be able to give us a list of what those are.
Okay, I thought we had
Oh.
addressed what he was concerned about already, but if we haven't, then he needs to let us know. And yes, which specific items he has a concern about that need to be addressed. We're going to be potentially, that would be the next workshop meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll say something to Mike about that then.
Okay.
Ask him if there are some things that he wants us to be paying some attention to. We're gonna, I don't know whether you guys have looked at the implementation table or whatever they call it in the steering committee's recommendations, but I didn't count them. I started to count them and it was depressing, so I stopped. How many tasks are being assigned to the zoning commission to be completed within the next year?
Good luck. Oh, what?
It's a short term.
Maybe we ask them to be alternates. Not just Maureen, all of them.
Do we have a third meeting,
Hey,
No,
a third week?
I'm sorry, I'm not committing to that.
there's a lot there. If you haven't looked at the document yet that we were discussing earlier, it's available online. Take a look at it. And the specific sections that are important that you specifically take a look at are, I think, the strategic recommendations
At the
and
end.
that implementation table.
Do
There's
they
a
have
lot
a,
of background
I haven't
information.
looked at it, but do they have an understanding of how long some of these things take? to-
Well, no, they put down a year.
No, I'm saying, do they have a realistic understanding of how long it takes to just make one small change in an article? It takes us months.
Yes.
Well,
No, I mean, it's
shouldn't,
easy
but-
to say, this is a recommendation for consideration and the zoning commission should do it. That's easy to do.
Yeah.
Delegate.
it's the deliberation that takes the time.
Yes, but then the amount, well, look how long coming forward with the recommendations from the committee, we were originally told we were going to have those in September.
Yeah.
We're in January, and now I just heard tonight, it's probably not going to come this month, maybe next month, or maybe the month after. So if it's March, that'll be 6 months late from what the original plan was.
Oh, but based on the edits that they made, it was worth the wait.
I'm not saying it wasn't,
Yeah.
I'm just saying that what
Things take time.
responding to what
Things
she
take-
suggested,
Things take more time than
it takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
to do
Particularly when
thoughtful.
you're trying to involve public to
I
get their input and their participation.
Is that who's?
I just don't want things to come to us and then, they've taken their
Everything
time
against the law.
and then we're expected to rush through it and potentially not do as thorough a job.
Well,
as
that's not
we
gonna
usually
happen
should.
anyway.
They're not giving us drafts of anything.
Okay.
That's not included in the document. They got listing of things that should be in there.
Well,
Well-
they recommend to be in there.
That's what I mean,
Yeah.
yes, what they're
We can-
recommending. I
we
said
can-
should, but what they're, from their perspective, that's their recommendation, correct?
And it will have to fit our timetable too, because sometimes we have people come in with applications, so we have to work with.
I don't know, I just,
So,
it just made me kind of uncomfortable when we got kind of pushed to rush through things
That's
Yeah.
who's law.
over the last couple of years. and
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
You can make them worse.
and it took us the 2 years to also just get through the whole zoning resolution and get those things changed that we changed. And now here we are still looking at finding some things that we want to go back and quote, fix. And maybe there's more when we hear from Mike that we can do at the same time.
Not too bad.
All right. Anything else for this evening? If not,
I've got a question.
yes, Tom, go ahead.
Perhaps another community has something regarding tree stands or something like that, that we could, maybe borrow from them that would fit into our needs.
So you're saying look at a neighboring community?
Yeah, there are a lot of communities around that have different, guidelines, and maybe someone has, recommendations for tree stands or things of that nature.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I'll pull that.
Scott might know,
Yeah,
or Holly.
I looked at all of the zoning ordinances from all of the townships in Delaware County to see which ones contained net developable acreage. And there's like 10 of the 18 townships used it in some form or fashion.
Somewhere.
All the ones that are around us use it. Like everyone that borders us has that in their code. So I could easily pull them down and do a word search for significant tree stand or something like that, and just see if I can find a definition that somebody else is using. That's an easy thing to do.
And then I wonder if the steering committee has already done anything of that nature, since they're the ones who are in. Yeah,
We can
they've
ask.
included some language, so they.
I'm gonna try to go to their meeting on Thursday and bring this up and see what they're thinking.
Yeah, that'd be good. So anything, but then we're looking at potentially having a draft of something to look at, begin the discussion at least at our workshop meeting in
Yeah.
February.
Next month.
Okay,
Thanks, Bob. That's a good idea.
anything else?
Thank you.
Last comments? All right, motion to adjourn
Make a motion to adjourn.
by Brittany and a
Second.
second by Louis. Further discussion?
I
Hearing.
don't know if we should adjourn. You know, we're having a good.
Wait a
time.
minute, there's further discussion by Tom.
Stop it, Tom.
We're having a good time.
Always.
Right. With no further discussion, all those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed, no. We are adjourned.
Okay.